Welcome everybody to Sin City Living. My name is Jason and I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of content for you guys coming out every single week, every single day generally. Occasionally miss a day like I did during the rodeo that is still ongoing right now. And I hope all of our patrons out there are appreciating the patron-only exclusive videos we're putting out with the dice class, putting one out every couple of weeks. And if you're curious about that, go ahead and check the description down below. Once I get this whole live stream thing figured out, I'm probably going to do a live stream on the patron site as well. One on the regular site, one on the patron site. I do have the new computer for it. Theoretically, I have everything ready. I'm just so busy currently with this rodeo. And one of our fans asked a question a little while back about ways to tip us, to show appreciation to us without having to sign up as one of our patrons. And at the time we did not have any way of doing it, but I have managed now to get us signed up with a site called Buy Me a Coffee. As I'm sure some of you guys have noticed from some of our videos, Louie and I are both pretty heavy coffee drinkers. So if you're curious about that as well, go ahead and check down below in the description as well. We would definitely appreciate any cups of coffee you're willing to pick up for us. And don't forget to email us with any strategies, questions, suggestions, anything at all. We love shooting those videos for you guys. I actually haven't gotten a new email in about 2 weeks. And also, don't forget, anybody that may be interested in one of the small Sin City Living neons that we have, just email us that as well, sincitylivingLV@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get into today's episode. So for today's video, we want to answer an email that was sent to us. This one comes from Joel. He is a don't player. Well, he has a strategy that includes the don'ts, includes the DCs, and he just had some questions. He plays at an out-of-state casino and just had some questions about how the dealers ask him to place his bets. So let's see what is visible here. Okay, perfect. Visible in the screen. So what he says, his strategy includes the DCs, and he does lays with them. Calls them odds, but they're lays. So he puts himself next to the dealer, right on this side, which is the proper place to go if you're playing the DCs. I mean, not proper, but is the best place to go if you're playing the DCs, because this is a self-service area. You want to be able to reach your bets yourselves, and it's the least disturbing, I suppose, would be the best way to put it, to the rest of the players. There's absolutely nothing wrong with playing the don'ts, no different than playing black on roulette versus everyone else playing red, but some superstitious or less knowledgeable players do tend to get really offended at don't players. So putting yourself right next to the dealer makes it a very subtle way of placing that bet. So he places his table minimum into the DC, so assume there's already a point. Say $15 minimum bet table. So he places his bet into the DC. Okay, so then it travels. Say it goes to the 8. So then he says he places his next bet. Then he places his lays. Now in this case it'd be an $18 minimum lay, right? But he says he places his lay. It says at the back of the DC area. So he's either placing his lay here or he's placing it back here. Not too sure exactly which. And this is where his question comes from. He says, some of the dealers have no issues with that, and others kind of quasi-yell at him for it. And he's just wondering who is right, what is the proper way to do it? So I will say this. I'll say a couple things. One, it depends. Dealers, we do allow a lot of things that are not technically correct, just to, I guess, just to keep it easy. The one that is actually correct is the one that is demanding that he put his layout here. This area right here, basically from this line over and then this line over, this is the area where players should not reach. Should not reach this area, beyond this area. Right. So if you put your lay back here, absolutely not. That is definitely something that we're going to tell the player, do not do that. Put it up here. Put it in the cum. Just like players, we ask them to put their placement money in the cum, not throw it at the number, not put it in the number, not throw it at the dealers, not throw it back here. Especially players are off this side. Players off to this side love to throw their chips back behind the money over here. absolutely infuriates the dealers, and at a certain point, dealers are going to start no betting them for that. The come is the proper place to put all of your bets out that you need the dealer to interact with, or of course to put your come bet out. Right? Sure, you could put it here. Most dealers aren't going to say too much about it, except this is wrong. This is a self-service area, and that is a bet. That is a bet. Now, yes, putting it out here is also a bet. It's come bet. But when you put your money out here, and especially when it's something like this, and you can even do a mild splash like this just to show that it's that you're not stacking up a bet. But don't do this. This isn't a poker game. But you place your money out, and you just and point to it until the dealer acknowledges you, and then you just say, okay, that's my lay. Although the dealer should be able to guess. But this is where all the bets get put out. It's just like players that want to place, say, an $18 place bet, and do that. The dealer, if they notice, may say, hey, is that it may go field bet, just to acknowledge, even though they don't have to. If it is put in that field, it is a field bet. If it comes out here, yes, it's a come bet, but that's also where players are supposed to put any other bets they may have. If they have odds to a come bet, you put it in the come. If you have a place bet, you put it in the come. If you have lays, you put it in the come. Everything is put in the come, and you let the dealer know what you want. So that's the technical proper way, is to put it out here. Yes, some dealers aren't going to mind if you put it out here. Other dealers are going to be much more, I guess, pedantic to the rules and to what they are taught as proper procedure. So it's really, really, really going to depend. Now, Joel does mention that he doesn't want to be confrontational with dealers, and I get that. You absolutely don't want to with anybody. I mean, there's no need. What's the fun of that? You're having fun. But technically, this is the proper area. And one thing to keep in mind is also that some dealers don't like to be confrontational. So even though they know something is wrong, rather than correct the player, they are just going to continue just rolling with it. So if players put money back here, throwing their money back behind the chips, some dealers just deal with it, or may just say, hey, please don't do that, but otherwise they're just going to keep setting it up, and they're just going to keep going with it over and over and over and over again, just like players that say, let me get the hard ways, and we're like, you got to throw it to that person over there, they've got these, throw it to them. Some dealers just going to always all the hard ways 5 each, and they're going to throw it to the dealer for you. Others are going to correct the player a few times and then just push it back and say throw it to them. And here's the thing: between the dealers that are very, very passive and the dealers that will correct and educate and kind of push the players to follow procedures and policies, one is considered a weak dealer, one is considered a stronger dealer. The passive dealers, the ones that just allow the players to do whatever and never correct them, it's not the player's fault if they don't get corrected, if they don't get informed what the proper procedure is, what the proper way of doing these bets is. And those dealers that allow that are very, very passive, those are considered extremely weak dealers. And those dealers will most likely not find themselves moving up or find themselves put into other positions such as dual rates, boxmen, stuff like that. May not be put on the best crews or on the best shifts because they're considered weaker dealers. Craps is the most procedure-heavy game in the entire casino. Has the most procedures, the most strict procedures, although a lot of them do tend to get ignored, yes. And there's a variety of reasons for that, from the ease of taking shots, how many different ways there are to take shots, how complex the game is, how many hundreds of different potential bets there are. But mostly, or not mostly, a big portion of it, a significant percentage of it, is also due to how fast the game is and how fast the game is supposed to be. You need to follow procedures in order to keep the game flowing. The procedures all exist for a reason, mostly game protection, and also to keep the game flowing at a constant pace. When you break the procedure, it breaks the pace. So those dealers that do not try and educate the players, do not try and keep the players following procedure, the reason they're considered weak dealers is because they can interrupt the flow of the game. They tend to get the most shots taken against them by players because they are so passive. you may hear from time to time, if you're at a busy enough place and you have a rowdy table, you may actually hear a box or a floor walk by or sitting on the game tell a dealer to get their side under control, or tell a dealer to get their table under control. The one they're talking to is likely going to be the least passive dealer on that game, or they're talking to the passive dealer and subtly yelling at them for allowing their side to get out of control. It is the part of the job of the dealers is to control their table, control their side of the table, control the flow of the game, and control the players. You know, the best dealers won't get confrontational unless absolutely necessary. Sometimes it is necessary, but they will do their best to educate the players. My general policy as a dealer was I usually gave people 2 to 3 warnings on something that was a procedural thing. For instance, players that would throw their hard ways right here. 1, you're splashing into my bets, into my betting area, and 2, you need to be thrown to that dealer over there. I'd usually tell them 2 or 3 times. Usually the second or third time, I'd even show them, like, look, this is what you do. You pick up your money and you throw it to that person, and I would throw it. Same thing with late bets. I would usually give people 2 or 3 warnings. Now, my third warning would tend to be the harshest. You know, the first time would be, do me a favor, get the bets while the dice are in the middle. Second time, I would book their bet, say you've got a bet, but do me a favor, get the bets while the dice are in the middle before they move them. The third time, I would say you've got a bet, get your bets earlier while the dice are in the middle. Next time will be a no bet. And sure enough, the next time they throw in a late bet, no bet. Same thing with anything else that defies the procedures. After 2 or 3 warnings, no bet. I'll push their money back, or I'll just leave it. Especially players that like to do this and say, tell me, they put it there and then they stand silent. Then the dice get removed. They're like, oh, that's a 5. If you're making a bet, put it out here. This is a field bet. That's a self-service bet. If you put it in there, that is a bet. And I'll warn them 2 or 3 times. And then the next time around, the 4th time around, when they do that, no bet, unless it's legitimately a field bet. So I will, again, stand there silent and wait, and then if the dice start to move, they're like, oh no, that's supposed to be a no bet. Because we've tried to educate them over and over and over and over and over again on the proper way of doing things to keep the game flowing as fast as possible. Just like players that tell us they want to press after they've received their pay and brought their bet up. They're slowing the game down for absolutely no reason. We will try and let them know. And on that one, it's never going to be a no bet. As long as the dice are still in the middle, we're going to set up their bet. But at a certain point, if a player is slowing the game down, the dealers are going to slow it down even further. And every other player will know exactly who is the reason for that slowdown to occur. So I hope this answers your question. Technically, yes, it's proper to put it out here. Some dealers will not have a problem with you putting it back there. If you're putting it back here, it's definitely wrong. And thank you for emailing it to me. We appreciate it. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye now. So, as I promised, I wanted to go over very briefly our upcoming attempts at a third test live stream. So what's happened so far? The first test live stream just flat didn't work. The problem that I had was was an equipment problem. I had an equipment problem in that the equipment that I was using to translate the camera into streamable video to the computer required a better USB port than the computer I was using at the time. So that one just flat failed because it would not translate into the computer. The computer would not pick it up, would not read it, so I wasn't able to live stream it. So then, as I was looking through, because I'm a little bit of a tech head, as I was looking through all of my other stuff, because I do have 4 laptops here and 3 computers, I did find one that actually did have the newer style USB port. Unfortunately, it was actually my oldest laptop, but I figured, what the heck, let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? And this time around, when I fired everything up, the video was actually translating onto the computer, so things were looking better. But then when I attempted to live stream, the computer was not powerful enough to be able to translate it and then upload it sufficiently. So it basically just uploaded a blank screen for the live stream. So what I am going to have to do is, and I've already looking into all of my options. I'm going to upgrade my computer so I can add, what, a 7th, 8th computer to my household. And I'm going to go much, much higher. And I'm going to get a computer that is far more than I need for this, far, far, far more powerful than I need for this. That way, any future upgrades that I may do, the computer will be able to handle it. So unfortunately, this computer is going to cost me about 25% more, about 25% of what I've already laid out in all the equipment for this channel. So it wasn't something I could just instantly buy. I'm probably looking at Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So hopefully I have it within the next couple of weeks, and then I'll do another test live stream and see if I can go from there. So I will definitely do at least one weekly live stream on our Patreon because they're the ones that are really helping us get this computer and the other equipment that I'm going to get, because I figure if I'm buying the computer, I might as well buy the most high-end capture cards and things along those lines, get everything as good as possible, and then hopefully eventually get a better microphone for you guys. So yeah, that's where we stand on the live stream. As soon as I have the computer and I do the test, which will be in a few weeks, like I said, I've got to order it in a week or two, then I have to wait for it to ship. Plus we have probably the biggest event of the year coming up, the NFR National Finals Rodeo. So I'm basically working 2 weeks straight, as is my wife. So not going to have a whole lot of time. But once we get all that under control, then we'll figure out. There's been some schedule changes to myself, some schedule changes to my wife, and some upcoming schedule changes to my wife as well. So hopefully we can get all the scheduling figured out so I know when I'll be able to live stream as well. My initial plan of Thursdays at 6 o'clock is already out the window. I'm at work at that point now. So we will get it all figured out, and we will let you guys know, I promise. And otherwise, I hope you guys have found this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, or at least just plain fun. And we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.